Welcome, everyone. Our sharply dressed cinematic stickman mentor is completely ready to guide us today as we tackle what is, honestly, a massive shift in technology. We are moving way past the standard chatbots you already know and use, and we're demystifying the wild, incredible world of agentic AI. So if you've been feeling even a little overwhelmed by all the buzzwords floating around lately, do not worry. This explainer is going to make it all crystal clear. But right off the bat, think about this for a second. Why is it that when you ask a standard AI chatbot to, say, draft a polite email to your boss, it does it brilliantly, but if you ask it, hey, when is my next coffee chat? Or can you book my flight to New York? It just completely fails. It's kind of frustrating, right? It creates this massive gap between what we actually want AI to do for us and what it currently does. Well, today, we are filling that gap.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for the explainer. First, the limits of passive AI. Second, enter the AI agent. Third, the React framework. Fourth, 3 types of agents. And finally, number 5, agents versus agentic AI. Let's get to it.
Section 1, the limits of passive AI, where chatbots fall short. To really appreciate where we're going, we first need to establish where traditional AI models currently fail in our day-to-day workflows.
Think of this evolution across 3 distinct levels. At level 1, we have generative AI. This is your standard chatbot. It's fantastic at generating text, but it's entirely passive. Level 2 brings us AI workflows. This is where we start connecting the AI to external tools, but it's still pretty rigid. And then finally, we reach level 3, AI agents, which actually operate autonomously.
The big bottleneck in those first 2 levels? Well, at level 1, generative AI just sits there waiting for you to prompt it. Plus, it suffers from knowledge cutoffs. It doesn't know the weather today because its brain is frozen in time at a certain date. Now, at level 2, we build AI workflows to give it live data. Like maybe we connect it to your Google Calendar so it sees you have a meeting with Elon Husky. But if you then ask for the weather for that specific meeting, it fails again. Why? Because the human, you, only programmed it to check the calendar, not the weather service. In both of these early levels, a human still has to set the path, iterate the prompts, and make all the final decisions.
Which brings us to Section 2. Enter the AI agent, Level 3 autonomy. It is time to introduce the absolute star of our show.
An AI agent is basically software that possesses reasoning, planning, and memory. And this allows it to make autonomous decisions and take action on your behalf. Think of standard AI as a super strict recipe. If it doesn't explicitly say, add ginger, the AI is absolutely not adding ginger, even if you're making winter tea. An AI agent, though, it's like bringing an experienced cook into your kitchen. You just tell the cook, hey, it's freezing outside, I want a great hot tea. And the cook uses their own intelligence to decide to add ginger, adjust the sweetness, and serve the perfect drink without you giving them step-by-step instructions.
So the crucial point here, the real game changer, is that the human decision maker is finally replaced by a large language model, an LLM. The LLM is no longer just spitting out text. It has literally become the brain driving the entire operation. It decides which tools to use and what steps to take next.
Section 3, the React framework. Reasoning and acting. Now you might be wondering, how exactly does this software act like our experienced cook?
It all comes down to the React framework, which, as you might guess, stands for reasoning and acting. An agent doesn't just blurt out the first answer it thinks of. First, it reasons. It thinks step by step about the problem. Next, it acts. Maybe it calls an API or runs some code. Then it observes the result of that action. It takes that observation, reasons about it again, and decides what to do next. It's this beautiful, continuous, intelligent loop.
This framework is exactly how agents break out of their little text box shell. By reasoning and acting, they use external tools just like you or I would. If an agent needs to write a social media post based on today's news, it reasons that it should first search the web for articles, act by fetching that live data, summarize it, and then draft a post. It can even critique its own output and completely rewrite the post if it decides it isn't funny or engaging enough. And the crazy part? All of this happens without a human tweaking the prompts.
Moving on to Section 4, 3 types of agents, behavioral patterns. Because, just like human workers, as these agents evolve, they adopt completely different behaviors depending on how complex the task is.
The sources basically outline 3 broad patterns here. First, you have sequential agents. These run step by step, sort of like an assembly line. They're super predictable, but a bit rigid. Second, reactive agents. These decide in the moment based on the current state. It's very flexible, but they don't really plan ahead. Finally, we have planning or deliberate agents. These actually pause to sketch out a multi-step plan before executing anything. You need these heavy lifters for complex tasks. I mean, think about booking a full travel itinerary. You can't just randomly buy a flight without first aligning the dates and the hotels, right?
They don't just answer, they can decide and take action. That quote perfectly captures the essence of Level 3 AI. We can even wrap these agents in robust loops. For instance, if you build a blog writing agent, you can include a validation loop. So if the agent somehow forgets to write a conclusion, the loop automatically tells it to retry and fix its own mistake before it even shows you the final result. Pretty amazing.
And this brings us to Section 5, Agents versus Agentic AI. Scaling up autonomy. We know what an individual agent is now, but what happens when we scale the whole thing up?
Let's illustrate the difference between an AI agent and agentic AI using a tech team analogy. An individual AI agent is like a highly specialized engineer, say a front-end developer. It is incredibly task-focused. Agentic AI, on the other hand, is the entire system. It acts like the project manager. It is goal-focused, actively managing multiple specialized agents that all collaborate to achieve a massive, overarching objective with barely any human intervention.
Let's look at a really concrete example to put this into perspective. Imagine you give an agentic AI system a complex goal, invest $5,000 in gold when market conditions are favorable. The system takes this goal and divides it all up. It literally spins up a market monitoring subagent just to watch the data. It assigns a financial advisor subagent to ensure you don't overinvest your portfolio. And finally, an execution agent is prepped to place the actual purchase order and shoot you an email with the receipt. The entire system collaborates autonomously to achieve your financial goal.
Which leaves us with this final thought. As the software shifts from just generating text to autonomously planning and executing these incredibly complex goals, well, your role is changing too. You no longer have to micromanage every single step or execute every tiny task yourself. You're being upgraded. So the question is, are you ready to embrace your new role and upgrade from a task executor to an AI task manager? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time as we continue to unpack the incredible world of technology.